Got your aura, pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive and get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, me like when you feel like calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby. I was hoping maybe that you crossed my path.
Calling all speakers. Keynote is a stage changing the landscape of public speaking. The unscripted reality show is now casting. Scan the QR code at the end of the video to apply.
The #1 television show for inspired and experienced speakers is changing the landscape of public speaking. The unscripted reality TV series will bring together speakers from around the world. We are looking for impactful speakers who are ready to transform the world one person at a time. Keynote Live unscripted show will be filming this spring in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The television series will be streaming on Exposure Plus TV, accessible to 440 million households in 128 countries. Available on all smart television and mobile devices.
It's time to show off your skills. Be sure to tune in to Sunday Keynote Live promotional streaming series at 7:00 p.m. Central Standard Time and 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to learn more about Keynote, unscripted reality TV series, and the coaches.
Hey guys, this is Gene, baby, leadership and entertainment, and your co-host of Keynote Live, brought to you by Keynote Magazine, your place for all things related to keynote events and keynote speaking. So I am so happy to be co-hosting Keynote Live, because if you're like a lot of speakers out there, you're wondering, how do I make it in an increasingly crowded sea of keynote speakers? And Keynote Live, along with Keynote Magazine, Keynote Stage, and Exposure Plus TV, are at the cutting edge of bringing media, technology, and expertise together in one place that's going to be completely transformative in how we move, breathe in the keynote speaking space. So give yourselves a round of applause for being here, same time, same place, every Sunday night, where we will be talking all things speaking and entrepreneurship. So I'm going to turn this over to my co-host, Dr. Karim Ellis.
My name is Dr. Karim Ellis. I am the #1 breakthrough strategist, best-selling author of GPS My Success, a veteran in the speaking industry with 20 years of speaking experience from corporate stages all across the world, national and international. It's a pleasure, a privilege, and most importantly, an honor to be one of the co-hosts with you tonight on the Keynote Live. You are watching the Keynote Live right here on Exposure Plus TV. We got to bounce for a second to pay a few of these bills and keep the lights on up in here. So don't you go no.
Family, this is Dr. Sharon Lamm Hartman, co-host of Keynote Live. And I'm so sad I can't be with you tonight. I'm actually on a jet plane to Washington, D.C., where I'll be speaking for 3 days in a corporate event with major leaders and who do great things for our nation. So what I want to say is you are in such a treat for today's show. You have my fabulous co-hosts, Dr. Karim and Jean Baker, and they are going to wow you tonight. I'm telling you, we have 2 amazing guests tonight. We also will be talking about topics that are going to help you take your speaking career to a completely new level. And what I need to remind you is to please apply. Apply to be a guest on our show. Apply to do a Spotlight Live, or apply to be on the TV reality show that is coming very soon. We're going to be doing auditions to see who's going to be those speakers on our reality TV show that's going to be just like The Voice, but for speaking. So all 3 of us, fabulous co-hosts, are going to be coaches on this show. And I want you to be thinking about, who do you want to work with as a coach? So take the risk. If you have any doubt, just go for it. Feel the fear and do it anyway, and at least audition. And we want to help you grow your speaking business. We want to help you learn the ins and outs of the speaking business, because all three of us are successful speakers on the global circuit. So please join us, stay with us. Tam Lawrence, our fabulous producer, she's going to show the QR code and the link where you can apply to be a guest or a Spotlight Live or on our reality TV. She'll show it at the end of the show. So please hang with us. And remember, we're here for you, our fabulous audience. We are here to serve you, to share what we know. And I can't wait to be back next week. Have a great show.
All right, man. We are back with the Keynote Live, the #1 place for keynote speakers to tune in and get tips, tactics, and techniques that'll take them to the next level. Gene, I double dog dare you to say that 5 times fast and not cut your tongue on your teeth.
Doc, I'm not even going to try. That is not my wheelhouse, sir. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored, man. I cannot complain at all. It's a pleasure to always connect back here every Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time. We are missing the fabulous Dr. Sharon Lamm Hartman, but I'm sure we're going to make this thing rock out one way or the other, and we'll welcome back into our arms all the way next week. The question I got for you, brother, is what took place over the course of this weekend? Because I saw you rocking and rolling all over D.C. You got to fill us in.
Man, okay, so last week, Exposure TV Plus was in DC. We were meeting with some top level people with the National Association for Black-owned Broadcasters, as well as the National Black Chamber of Commerce, all their higher ups there. We were really in deep conversations around being their preferred and exclusive vehicle for housing content for multiple media organizations, and really an opportunity to be the place where people are our people and anybody else can go for their info. Because what's happened and what they realize is that information is fragmented. It's all over the place. They love the fact that this network has the bandwidth, has the quality, and has the support of our community. So it was an exciting time to meet with them and really talk about all the issues with, how do we own our content? How do we get our message out there and own a positive message for our communities? And how do we, have the bandwidth available to house everyone and bring everyone into this conglomerate of a media organization? It was fantastic.
I can feel that, man. I got a chance to be with you guys in spirit as I tuned in and watched you guys literally crush the stage out there in DC. And of course, we got to talk about this upcoming event that we are such a large part of, the Keynote Live experience. I know that we are looking for folks right now that want to participate in it. We heard Dr. Sharon Lamm Hartman drop a couple gems on it, but man, where are you at with everything? Because the clock is ticking.
So yeah, she did mention it. And if y'all didn't hear, if you weren't paying attention, there is a TV show coming. We will be casting next month. And this show is really designed to change the landscape of public speaking. We're going to put you not just on a stage, we're going to put you on the biggest stage in the world. Reach 440 million homes, 128 countries. But this is an unscripted reality show. So as with any unscripted reality show, anything can happen. So we're going to put you through some things, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be trying. But at the end of the day, you're going to learn, and you're going to have great exposure and an opportunity to really accelerate your career as a speaker.
I'm loving it, man, because I'm picturing folks right now that may be a little bit concerned, a little bit worried because you dropped 440, and that's all I heard was a 440, and I'm just like, for me, I get excited about it. I love the fact of knowing that that's how many people you got that you have impact with, right? That you have access to.
Yeah.
I'm loving how this is panning out, man. I can't wait till next month gets here. I'm counting down the days. We know October's almost up. So I'm going to get my trick or treat on, and then next month it's game time.
And then once we start taping, when y'all see the show, it's going to be popcorn. Get your popcorn. But it's going to be so good. We have so many people that are reaching out. So please do not get left out of this. Don't overthink this. If
Sure.
you are a speaker and you want that type of exposure, then get on the show. Go through the process. We'd love to meet you, and let's go from there.
I would say walk by faith and not by sight. Walk by faith and not by sight. I know today we're going to get into some deep stuff. We got some special guests that's going to be here today, so I can't wait to bring them on after this commercial break. I know we're going to talk about some deep topics today. We're going to talk about a little bit of that imposter syndrome. We know that that's one of the barriers for a lot of speakers starting out. And we're going to talk about a little bit of fake it till you make it, because I know opinions vary on do you fake it till you make it, what that sounds like. So to hear what the guests think about it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about branding and expertise as well, man. So I guess I want to ask you a question real quickly, man. How do you feel about imposter syndrome? Was there a situation or circumstance where you felt like you had to overcome that barrier?
You know what? I really had to think about imposter syndrome. We kind of throw that out there, and I did some research on that, and
Sure.
I guess it really came to be this thing back in the 1940s, maybe early 50s, when women came, were really, flooding into the workforce. And what happened was what was the workforce makeup? Was mostly white males. So they were coming into a workforce and really feeling like, well, do I deserve a seat at the table? And so what you then have is minorities feeling the same thing. And nowadays you have women and minorities and anyone really that's grown up that's had that pressure to excel. Well, guess what? A lot of our speakers fall into that bucket, because a lot of our speakers, they're doctors, they're this, they're that, they're authors. They are high performing people that have a high standard for themselves. And so often what happens is you just get this feeling like, well, I don't know enough.
Sure.
Or I'm not good enough, or I'm not getting the validation, or you pick apart your speech, you pick apart what you do, and it never feels right. Well, what happens is you ultimately, you just mentally get drained, and it's never good enough. And some people get, they fall into a pit of depression. Right. And so for myself, what I did was I had that perfectionist syndrome. There's multiple types of imposter syndrome, but one of them is that perfectionist, where I didn't want to move forward until I had my speech just right. Well, guess what? If you are out there and you're thinking the same way, and you have to have it just right before you even put your name in a hat, you've missed out on a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, but the problem with being that perfectionist is you never get it done. I've been the perfectionist. It took me a minute to get my book out there because I kept thinking it wasn't just right. It wasn't just right. And there's never going to be a time for it to be just right. But what I learned is you can always fix it as you go. Right? I've always learned you can fix it as you go. I guess when it comes to imposter syndrome for me, man, it was the challenge of my lifetime, because I was walking into an industry where I was cool as an entrepreneur. But the industry was taking me into corporate places and spaces. And so it's almost like, am I qualified to give these topics and these techniques in front of these powerhouse people? And most important, will they receive it? Because that's always the biggest fear. If I get out there, well, I feel like a fraud because maybe I don't feel comfortable in the skin that I'm in. Maybe I don't feel comfortable or qualified. And so one of the things I think about it is your level of expertise. I think everybody's an expert at something. The issue being is, do you know how to showcase your expertise in such a way where you dominate over that imposter syndrome mindset? So I'm going to love picking the brain of our guests today and asking them about imposter syndrome and how they bounce their way around it, because they both got accolades about what it is they do currently in the industry.
Absolutely. I can't wait to bring them in.
All right, man. We want to hit a commercial break real quick so they don't turn the lights off up in this joint.
We'll pay a couple bills.
We'll have my guests when we come back. They should be ready to go.
In time for the holidays, we are definitely on schedule for this opportunity. Brands, don't miss out on the chance to showcase your product or service during our big shopping day. Your brand commercial, That's right, it's time to make your video commercial and stream it on a network with over 50,000 movies and over 7,000 downloads. The 3.0 version of Exposure Plus TV has just been released. The television app is accessible on Roku, Android TV, Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV. You can also download the app on any mobile device. Our 3.0 TV app is our third generation app, reaching over 440 plus million households in 128 countries. Not to mention we are in Africa and recently opening up markets in Dubai. For more details on how you can stream your brand this holiday season, scan the QR code using your mobile camera or visit exposureplusTV.com.
All right. Well, welcome back. And I want to take some time to introduce a very special guest that's coming up. And her name is Dr. Alisa Whyte. She is the #1 mindset disruptor. She is a global business and workforce strategist. She is the CEO of Fulfillment Empowerment Network USA. She's an international best-selling author. And she does speaking across the globe, helping individuals and organizations really achieve their purpose and inspire women across the globe as well. So she is one heck of a woman. She is just an amazing person. And she just has this desire to have impact locally and nationally and internationally. And that's exactly what she's doing. So we are in for a treat with Dr. Alisa Whyte.
All right. And as she pops in, well, how are you doing, Miss Whyte?
Good evening. It's an honor to be here with you wonderful gentlemen. I am definitely a fan of the Keynote Live, so I am blessed and honored to be here.
Well, welcome. We have been looking forward to bringing you on to the show.
All right. And to balance this out, because we got to have it even, I want to bring to the stage what the man they call the coach's tech guy. And you know we all need technology in this day and age. He's John Maxwell certified. He's a neuro encoding specialist. We're going to ask what that is. I want to make sure I'm in the know on that. He's also on the faculty team for the Maxwell Leadership, CEO of Michael Pope Training, the one and only Mr. Michael Pope. There he is. There's our guy.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be here on Michael Pope, Coach's Tech Guy. Truly happy to be on Keynote, man. This is awesome. You guys have already started off as an amazing show.
Awesome. Well, welcome.
We appreciate that. We work hard.
And have fun doing it.
All right. So me and Gene we was just chopping up, and we were dropping some keys a little bit earlier, and we talked about the concept of imposter syndrome. And so one of the things we discussed was the fact that it is very hard this day and age for individuals to jump into the concept of imposter syndrome. So I'd like to pick your brain on that. But before we go into it, Michael, tell us just a little bit about yourself, man. What is it that you actually do? What is a neuroencoding specialist?
Absolutely. So Joseph McClendon III, he actually came up with neuroencoding. And so essentially what it is, it's a way of programming yourself so that you can have long-lasting results, right? So he doesn't believe in like those quick fixes. It's more about programming yourself for that high performance, and I absolutely love it.
Gotcha. Gene, are you familiar with neuroencoding, man? Because I think I've heard of it, but I'm not overly familiar with this. Is this something you familiar with?
Vaguely familiar. I started looking into it and getting a certification in it. But I ended up going in another direction. I never got back around to it, but it's very interesting. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Good deal. All right. Okay. And Dr. Lisa, we got you sitting down there as well. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karim. I am blessed and honored. I go by the moniker of the #1 mindset disruptor, Dr. Karim and Gene. And again, it's so nice to see you, Michael. I must mention that there's a whole lot of JMT DNA in the building. So we've all met in the same place. So that's just wonderful. But as the number one mindset disruptor, when I took that on as my moniker, it's because in the journey of being an entrepreneur and a speaker, one thing everyone always says, well, you helped me see that differently. And with that, I was able to move forward with what we were working on clearly. And so when we think about mindset disruption, we see that when we think of Elon Musk and Henry Ford and all these disruptive entrepreneurs, we think of individuals who have done things that were not necessarily even dreamed of or thought of before. And so as a speaker, I'm an entrepreneur before I even became a speaker. And I believe that all speakers should be thinking as an entrepreneur does. So I think of as a disruptive entrepreneur. And so with that being said, as a disruptive entrepreneur, we are able to not see things as they are, but see things as they should be to pull us further. In my own personal journey, coming up through childhood, several people might hear the story of me talking about losing my memory at about age 14 with a head injury. And so once I was recovering from that, I had to look past all the things that the doctor said that I was supposed to be. Like, I'm not supposed to be alone. I'm not supposed to be by myself. So with that being said, I had to start to see things as I wanted them to be and not as they were. And that's been my approach from there on. And so that is the disruption I intend to create when I'm on stage, when I'm training, and even in business.
Nice. Well, thanks for those backgrounds, and like we said when we introduced you guys, we knew that we were bringing in some high level, very capable, talented people, and you are exactly that. So excited to have you on the show. So let's get back into the conversation around the imposter syndrome. So this is really a thing. It's not on a psychology, doesn't have its own code, but it really is something that affects a lot of people, and for our audience. It affects them at a high level because they're high performing people that expect themselves to perform consistently at a high level. And so, but at the core of this imposter syndrome is this idea that I got to be perfect, and it's just also this inability to realistically assess your competence and skills. Often leaning towards, well, I'm not good enough, right? And so just curious and just throwing it out to you guys, we'll start with you, Dr. Whyte, have you experienced that, or have you run into those that you have coached that just seem to have this feeling like, I can't do this, or I'm not right for this space, or they just can't seem to move forward? What was that situation like, and were you able to help them in any way, giving them some type of advice or mentoring them through that?
Absolutely, Gene. I personally have encountered dealing with imposter syndrome in my career. When I wanted to make this career switch from only being and working in corporate and going back to entrepreneurship and using my platform as a speaker, coach, trainer, I thought I couldn't do it because I said, maybe I need to have my PhD. I needed to have this particular master's degree in all blah, blah, blah. And so that I had the thought that I needed all those things. And I was so grateful that when I encountered the Maxwell team, that they were actually going to train me and help me prepare for that. And when I even joined the team, I realized that I'm full of content and information that I can actually speak, train, and coach on even for years. But the imposter was on my shoulder, as I say, saying, you're not good enough. You're not ready for this. And you need to do a whole bunch. And so in my career, and that's why I do go with the mindset disruptor, that's the first thing I'm really dealing with when I'm sitting with a client or even someone who's trying to put together a business, that they're thinking, well, I need all this to even get started. And my constant thing is, start now. What do you have in your hands that you can start now where you're at?
I think our mentor, John Maxwell, would describe the eaglet being pushed out of the nest.
That's right.
Learn how to fly on your way down. But you gotta flap fast because gravity comes at you fast. I've been there enough times where them wings didn't go out quick enough, and a brother was street pizza for a second or two. So we gotta ask Michael the same question, man. A little bit different. I'm curious, and I gotta be real, right? Because what happens, I see you as being professional. We're all professionals on here, right? And it's easy for us to give the polished version of ourselves. But I'm interested in knowing the nitty gritty. I want to know the real you. So was there a time, Michael, when imposter syndrome kept you stuck? And man, brother, how did you get over that? That's what I want to know.
Absolutely. So many times throughout my life. So the first time I experienced imposter syndrome was when I was 20 years old. I was in college and I went on my first summer internship. Yeah. And what happened was, when I got in a room, I was in a room with people from other colleges. I graduated from North Carolina A&T State University, HBCU. Okay. And so I'm in my job with people who, they're Ohio State students and Xavier students and, Michigan State, right? So bigger schools than me. Mm-hmm. So I had imposter syndrome sit on. But once we got to work and I started producing, I realized that I was just as smart as they were. I was just as equipped as they were. And I quickly got over it because I realized, okay, I can do the same type of work they can do or even better.
Sure. My belief is this, man, and I said this before. I said that I believe that most of us in the speaking industry, we're like those pre-qualified credit card offers, right? They come in the mail and they say, you already qualified. We've done the homework. We've done the research. All you got to do is call us and accept the offer and the credit line is yours. But the problem is we don't see the value in ourselves. And so we fail to step out there and do the very thing I think we've been uniquely qualified and designed to do. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation because I need the world to understand this, man. I see a lot of people miss their moment because they keep thinking I'm not pre-qualified and it's already done. It's already done. Gene, what's your take on this, man? What you got?
Well, on this, keeping with this theme, another aspect of this syndrome is a person that thinks that they feel that they are the expert and they have to be the expert, not just a perfectionist, but the expert. So what does this person do? Well, they hoard information. They want to be that expert. So they just gather and gather and gather information and they sit on it, and versus, I got some information, I got enough to go forward. They always want more. Yeah. I ran into this early in my management career where, I was delaying making decisions because in my mind, I wanted more information. I like data. And so my weakness, if you call it that, was I just collected and I looked at and I analyzed data and data and data and data. And it was taking too long to make decisions. And sometimes, hey, after a while, it's like, look, and I think you mentioned it, Dr. Whyte, was like, you had expertise. I had been a manager. Like, I had instincts based on the experience. Like, sometimes you really have to just rely on that and be good with the information that you have and understand that you can go back in and build on your level of expertise. It doesn't end at any one point, right?
Exactly.
So, as you look at other types of imposter syndrome or the types of individuals, there's one that kind of stuck out to me, and that is that kind of rugged individualist. This is a person that just goes out and does it alone. They're too afraid to ask for help because, well, that might make them seem not qualified. Have you run into that, Dr. Whyte?
I definitely have. And this topic is such a burning topic. I'm actually doing a focus group right now on it. And one of the things we just talked about yesterday is that when you're incapable of asking for help, you're actually, like you said, Gene, it is that fear that if you do include somebody else, you might not look as much as a professional as you are. And so you're running on limited resources. And I always talk about that African proverb that alone you can go faster, but together you can go further. So a lot of individuals, a lot of entrepreneurs, and even a lot of speakers, I work around in the industry and I see them struggling in a particular area and they know that the brother or the sister has got the strength, but just because they've been on this stage and spoke with that one and they know that maybe Dr. Karim or Gene or even Michael has that skill. Michael knows how to he says he's the coach's tech guy. Your platform looks raggedy And you over here wasting time. I'm picking up the phone and calling Michael and saying, Michael, can you help me put up get the screen, my Zoom looking better so I can present better? No, but they won't, because they're like, I did speak on stage with ET. So if I call Mike, it's going to look like I'm not the thing of the things. No, honey, you will look better and you'll get paid better. Because again, impressing people don't pay the bills. Doing the job and getting the result pay the bills.
Impressing people don't pay the bills. I love that. That's exactly.
We got key drops all the way around. Listen, borrowed credibility can only take you so far. There's a point in time where you use smoke and mirrors, but I think if you use smoke and mirrors but don't actually have any substance behind it, the smoke will eventually get blown away and the mirrors will reflect what's actually standing there. I've seen too many people get exposed for that.
Yeah.
Ooh, Lord have mercy. I gotta ask this. I can't think about imposter syndrome without expertise, right? And so I want to ask this to you, Michael. What dictates you being an expert? Because we see a lot of people that don't really have a good idea of what expertise is. So what deems that you're an expert? What do you feel makes you an expert in this industry?
I feel like if you feel like you're confident at solving a problem in a certain area, right? So the area that I'm going to be speaking in, if I feel competent in that, and I don't have to be the smartest person in the room on that topic, but if I know enough to get a result, that kind of makes me an expert in that scenario. And I think that's so important, because I've dealt with coaches who they've had, Dr. Alisa thought about it, they had that question for years or even months or whatever. They're holding on to it, and all they got to do is ask for help to solve that problem.
Well, Gene, I know you got something. You look like you're ready to just bounce in there.
It's yeah. So it's this other aspect of this is the ability to just allow yourself to be imperfect. Allow yourself to be imperfect, and at the same time, pat yourself on the back every now and then. Like, sometimes this syndrome and the types of professionals that have this, or I wouldn't say suffer from it, but experience this, just have a difficult time saying, you know what, job well done. You know what? Because they're expecting perfection, and it wasn't perfection. They said, well, that was terrible. And so sometimes, what you try to do with that person is to say, well, what was terrible about it? Bring them data. That's what's been helpful to me as well, is bring me data. Don't let me say, well, that wasn't great.
Sure.
But really, why do you say that? What wasn't great about it? You know what? Because if you can help them say, well, it's just this little part that you could improve, but actually you did this great and this great and this great and this great. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. You know what? And so what do you think about that as you're talking to people? And I want to, just kind of switch this into, what? I think our audience probably is now getting to feel like if you're experiencing imposter syndrome, it's a real thing. It's okay to experience that, but how do you pull out of it? And so we've all been in situations where we can mentor people. That would be my tip for you, is give yourself a pat on the back and allow yourself to be imperfect. What are some other ideas that you guys might have?
So I'll speak up to that. So like my mentor, Joseph McClendon, he talks about that a whole lot, right? So he says, after you do something, ask yourself, okay, what did I do well? Take some notes, or write it down. What you write, you invite. Next question is, what can I improve? Once you come up with some ideas, then celebrate yourself, like you just said. Pat yourself on the back, right? Because you have to celebrate to reprogram your mind of that success.
That's awesome.
What say you, Dr. Whyte? I know you got something. That smile lit up. You got something you about to add. Come on now. We want to
absolutely.
We want to drop the key.
I like to say the best thing to do is learn not to compare. Learn not to compare yourself to other people or to what they might be asking you to do. And know your strengths, as Michael said earlier. Know what your strengths are. Step in the room and focus on that and becoming better than you were the last time. Because honestly, there's always going to be somebody better and smarter and faster and quicker in the room.
Done is better than perfect.
I like that. Yeah. I think one of the things I see with a lot of beginning speakers is imposter syndrome is created by who they study. Now, notice I didn't say by who they learn from, because there's a difference between being mentored and who you study. I see a lot of people go out there and study pastors, and then they go out there trying to talk with that pastor anointing, and how you doing, and I wonder if they go to Burger King, if they go, I want a Whopper, with fries, shake inside the bag, and in my mind, I got to ask myself, like, are you becoming the imposter because of who you are studying, not who you're being taught from? Because there's a difference between studying and copying versus actually having a mentor and learning. Mm-hmm. So here's the thing I got for everybody here, because everybody's had powerful mentors in their life. How did you discern between I'm copying a mentor versus I'm learning from a mentor?
Woo.
For me, I found out when I tried to copy someone, I couldn't do it. Like it was painful, right? Because if they don't have the same personality as me or the same speaking style as me, you can't copy them. But you can learn. Okay, this is how they connect with the audience. Okay, I can figure out what can I do to connect with my audience.
Sure.
The big thing for me, Dr. Karim, with that is absolutely you have to know who you are and why you're doing what you're doing first. And when you're confident in yourself as what you bring to the table, now you're not looking for information to duplicate. You're looking for systems. You're looking for techniques that have made others successful to apply to who you are and what you do in order for you to gain the same level of success, but not photocopying them, because who wants a photocopy of a designer handbag? Not me.
Exactly.
I think not. They tell me the Chrysler looks good until that Bentley pulls up.
That part.
She said that part. Yeah, I don't think I ever really tried to be someone else. But on the one hand, copying is a form of flattery, right?
Sure.
But you don't want to try to be someone. And so you take a little bit of this, you take a little bit of that. There are some that are great storytellers. There are some that do other things. You're very good. So you can learn from people and incorporate that, but you don't want to be someone else. And fortunately, I knew that before I kind of got into the speaking business. Now, what you do need to understand and start to learn is, what is your voice?
Nice.
Like, what is your stage voice? How do you show up on stage? And that takes a little work to really feel comfortable with who that person is. Because, you still want to be authentic, but how I might be around my family at home may be different than when I step on the stage and turn it on. And I got to feel comfortable with that. And own that person and own that confidence that I get when I'm on stage. So that takes some time, and each person has to really feel and who that person feels to them, and just come to grips with that and own it. Once you own that and you understand who that person is, boom, now you got it.
You know what, Gene? Can I jump in there? I was born and raised in Guyana, South America. I'm sure by now everybody knows I have an accent. And so when I first moved,
we couldn't see that you had an accent. We didn't know that.
Finally, we see the glasses. So with that being said, as a speaker, and I remember when I first moved to the USA, I was disenfranchised in corporate position because they're like, oh, well, we don't know what they'll do to your accent. So going back to that imposter syndrome, it wasn't coming from me that made me feel, but I started to own that and thought that my accent wouldn't be appreciated on stages. Well, I'm sorry. My accent actually is what makes me unique. And I had to look at that as something that's a strength and be fine with it. And honestly, not try to sound like some of my greatest idols, like Lisa Nichols and the rest of them. So some of the things that people might tell you is not good enough. You have to learn to use it as your strength. So every now and then, y'all will hear me say, just give me some curry chicken right here on this camera. And y'all know. I'm
love it. Yes. Yes.
That's good.
Yes, that's awesome. How about you, Michael?
Yeah, so for me, it's all about how I prepare myself before I speak on stage, right? That whole process of going through like affirmations before I get on stage and visualizing the success in my audience. And that helps me eliminate the imposter syndrome, right? Because like this weekend coming up, I'm going to be on the stage. There's going to be 3 millionaires on the stage. They're going to be speaking on that same stage that I'm speaking on. And I I could easily allow imposter syndrome to sit in, but I'm not, because I'm going to do my affirmations. I know my worth, and I'm going to go out there and deliver my message, right? I'm not going to try to compare myself to their talks or anything like that, or their success. I got to deliver my message.
Your message.
Nice. Nicely said. It's hard to be a thing if you can't see a thing. That's why it's good to be on stages with people that might be a little bit on a different playing scale, because I believe that's the greatest way to expand your vision is by what you see, not what you don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's the Dorothy? When from the Wizard of Oz.
Hey, bro, you said that like it was a real person.
I know, right? You know Dorothy?
I know Dorothy. Dorothy came over the other day.
I'm like, do I know her? Like, we have her. Is she coming on as a guest next week?
My mind was 3 steps ahead. I was thinking about something. You know Dorothy? Of course you do. From the Wizard of Oz. So what was Dorothy's thing? What did she want to do? She wanted to go home. And so some of you said there, Michael, just you feel comfortable with your content, right? And you say your affirmations, but there's a certain comfort level that we have with what we know. And so that's what it just popped in my head there. Like Dorothy, she was told to think about home, click your heels 3 times, and boo, and you're at home. Get home. Your home is your area of expertise. It's what you know. It's your experience. You don't need a doctor in front of your name if you got 20 years doing something. Whatever your area of expertise and passion is, that's what a great starting point is, and that's your sweet spot. So always, if you're not confident with who your stage persona, what you're going to speak about, what's your zone, what's your area, go home. Go home. What do you know? I can't talk about your house. You might tell me, we could have a conversation for half an hour, Michael, and you'd be like, hey, this is how I grew up, blah, blah, blah. Now, if I took that and went on stage and be like, hey, let me tell you about this guy. You know what? Well, I could probably do a decent job, but that's not my area of expertise. I can't tell it like you would tell it because you went through it. So what have you gone through? What is your home?
Exactly. And in addition to that, if I can jump in here, Gene, it's the home is also the default of exactly who you are as a person. Yeah. People buy from those that they know, like, and trust. So when we get on stage, when we get on camera as a speaker, if we're being someone else, people see that, or they can feel it energetically. We're not in our best, presenting our best self. I remember when I first started off in speaking and getting for the camera, it was my worst nightmare. And I would stand there and I was, hello, I'm Alisa Whyte, and I want to tell you, and my family called me like, that is not you. Please don't. But I thought that's what everybody wanted. But the minute I come and say, hey, it's Alisa, and I got something to tell you, because that's who I am. And so it doesn't matter what I'm saying. The first thing people are going to do is to connect with my real, genuine personality.
So important.
Nice. So I got to ask Michael this question, right? Because last week, my social media, I was under attack. I dropped the term I've been using for years in coaching programs. I call it speaker hoeing. I call it speaker hoeing. Speaker hoeing is when you out there talking about anything and everything, as long as there's a microphone and your voice. You just be out there talking about a multitude of different topics, a jack of all trades, but you become a master of none. And branding is about me knowing you for a specific thing, not a multitude of things. So, Michael, was there ever a situation in your journey where you be honest now, you almost speaker hoe? You almost started talking about a multitude of topics, and what made you segue back and say, hey, at this moment in time, man, I'm the coach's tech guy. This is what I do.
Yeah, exactly, right? When I joined the Maxwell team and I saw all the content we had access to, I was like, well, I can speak on this, I can speak on finance, I can speak on leadership, I can speak, I got this experience, right?
Yes.
But what happened was that was painful for me to start preparing myself for those talks. And I've even turned down talks now where it's like, I'm like, no, I do not want to speak on that topic. I know that subject, but that's not something that's going to excite me, so I don't speak on that. So for me, it was really working with other coaches and having them help me clarify. Like, they were like, hey, a lot of your clientele right now need help with tech, right? You're great at it. You've got the experience. Why don't you help them out with that tech? And then I became the coach's tech guy because it was natural for me. At first, I tried to hide my tech part of me when I got into the speaking industry, but I'm like, no, that's actually experience. I've got 27 years of doing that, and I'm good at it. And I'm good at helping other people solve those problems. So why not use it to my advantage?
Nice. Very nicely put, succinctly. And I'm laughing because I know, Gene, you've been in that Maxwell portal, so that's how I started wearing glass. I went blind. I said it's too much. My eyes hurt.
Yes. And as you were saying that, Michael, I was thinking the same thing. Like, there's so much that you can speak on, and we've experienced so much in our leadership careers, right? So it's like, okay, well, I can speak on. Like, I wouldn't turn down anything. Like, I can speak on that. I can speak on that. Of course, I can. Because I want to be the expert on everything. But, so that was a learning experience for me. It was like, okay, yeah, I could, but would I be highly effective on that? And what's my wheelhouse? And so, that's why I really came back to, well, what have I experienced? What are the rough times in leadership that really kind of shaped me as a leader? And how did I get through that? And what I landed on was how I really, infused values across my teams, no matter what the situation was, and how those values became a rudder and a guiding light through all the trials and tribulations and the market changes and the downsizings and all that. If you lead with values, you always come out ahead, regardless of the situation. So the more I thought about that, I was like, that's my wheelhouse. Leading with values.
I'm still stuck on hey, y'all got any no microphones? I just want to speak for a little bit. I talk about any topic you want. What you tax?
Global warming, okay, yeah, global warming.
I'm a little ashy.
I'll speak about anything for cash. What do you want me to talk about today?
The way to brand yourself is to be focused on talking about one topic consecutively again and again and again, so the world knows you for one thing, not a multitude of different things. Woo, Lord have mercy.
That is great.
So even for me, so inside the Maxwell organization, like, I'm known for one main thing.
Yes.
And that's powerful.
Yeah.
It makes it really easy for people to be able to refer me to other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? So the other thing I wanted to kind of get into tonight is really putting you guys, not through the ringer, but really doing some role playing. So we talked about various scenarios, situations you've been in dealing with, and maybe coaching people around imposter syndrome. But I want to take it to another level, and let's just do some role playing and have some fun with what does that sound like, and have our audience kind of get a feel for, okay, this is what it sounds like, and this is how we would react to it as coaches. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're gonna put these two on the hot seat and have some fun with it and see where that goes. So coming right back after these messages.
In time for the holidays, we are definitely on schedule for this opportunity. Brands, don't miss out on the chance to showcase your product or service during our big shopping day. Your brand commercial. That's right, it's time to make your video commercial and stream it on a network with over 50,000 movies and over 7,000 downloads. The 3.0 version of Exposure Plus TV has just been released. The television app is accessible on Roku, Android TV, Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV. You can also download the app on any mobile device. Our 3.0 TV app is our third generation app, reaching over 440 plus million households in 128 countries. Not to mention we are in Africa and recently opening up markets in Dubai. For more details on how you can stream your brand this holiday season, scan the QR code using your mobile camera or visit exposureplusTV.com.
right. Well, welcome back. Welcome back. And so let's get to it. Michael, you are a high performing manager. You're a first
Right.
line leader. You do a great job. But you know what? You have one of the issues that we just discussed. You are a rugged individualist. All right. So you put everything on your shoulders. You're also kind of that superhero syndrome. And you want to do everything yourself because you're that perfectionist as well. Well, guess what? Nobody on your team is developing because you're doing it all. So I'm coming to you and I want to get some perspective from you. So, hey, Michael, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Gene. How are you?
Not too bad. Hey, man, I wanted to follow up on a conversation that we have recently had, and just kind of see where you are on it. And really, it's really around your opportunity to develop your team. And what just to kind of recap our conversation, we talked about how you put so much on your shoulders. And you spoke about how stressed that could be, but you wanted to make sure that it was done and done in the way that you wanted it to be done. You know what? So where are you with that? Have you made any progress? Did you think about what we talked about?
Gene, I've got a huge list of items that needs to get done. And, my team is good, right? They went to some great schools. But what I realized is that if I want it done right, I have to do it myself. That's just where I'm at. They're good. I can give them some other things to do, but the buck stops with me as a leader. So I'm going to do it all myself.
So think about what you just said. If you want it to be done right, it has to be with you, and the buck stops with you. Well, guess what? What I wanted to really level with you is my expectation is if I have 10 leaders, and those are all great leaders, but I got 80 people under those leaders who aren't being developed, where's my organization going? And so my point to you is you may be able to do it all, but this organization will have a cap because we can't grow. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, Gene. It sounds like I really just need to get 10 people that are just like me to grow this organization.
Now, that would be great, or maybe not, because what we also want is diversity of thought, diversity of ways of doing things. We don't want a bunch of you or me running out there. We want everyone to be their true, authentic self and bring their levels of expertise and experience to the table. Then your team can be that much stronger. What do you think?
That makes sense.
All right. So that's what we want to work on moving forward from now over the next month. I really want you to think about what you might do yourself and give that as a developmental action to those on your team. Can we do that?
Yeah, we can do that. As long as I get the final say so. I'd be willing to work with you and take some of your ideas under consideration.
At the end of the day, the buck does stop with you, but it also stops with you in development of your people. And that's priority number one. All right. Very good, Michael. Thank you so much. All right. Now is that time of the day, of the evening, to go through key drops. Well, first, let me say, how did that feel? How did you feel being coached?
I felt good. I didn't know how hard I should push it. But,
You can tell the truth, Mike. You would have stepped on his pinky toe.
Right. What we wanted to do is kind of give the audience a taste of what's to come. And so there's going to be a lot more of this. We'll have different role-playing scenarios. We might even bring you back, Dr. Whyte, and put you through the ringer as well. But this is the type of thing that's going to happen at the Keynote Live performance, the show, the TV show. And so, we just want to give you a taste of what coaching might look like. And even that was just in 2 minutes. But we just want to get you thinking and getting you seeing and envisioning what that all looks like. So well done. As we start to wrap up, let's just think about some of the key drops. There's a number of them that happened today. I'll start with you, Dr. Whyte.
Definitely key drop. I think my biggest key drop moment that I've had with you all tonight was be your authentic self. Be you. Show up knowing who you are, know your strengths, stand in fullness of that and not compare yourself to anyone else, but becoming a better version of yourself every time.
Awesome.
Yes.
How about you, Michael?
Wow, there's so many. I think the biggest one is right. That's coming in home on your topic and your strengths. Right, focus on the area that you know you're good at. You know you're an expert at.
Yeah.
I gotta put the glasses back on. Right, I can't see you till you see you. Right, that means you need to show up and be 100% authentic. Stop going around here trying to copy others and learn from the right individuals so you can show the world your greatness. Don't be on stages with some and Mr. Baker, it's on you. Oh, I can't see.
How do you practice that?
Randy Watson.
Hot sauce.
Anyway, so my key moment for today is really allow yourself to be imperfect and give yourself a pat on the back. You're okay. You do a great job most of the time. It's okay to be imperfect. All right. So great key drops, great show today. Now, I want to go back to what we need you to do right now. Understand that casting is going to start when? Next month for Keynote. So do not miss this opportunity. Do not be that perfectionist, that expert. This is the time to get your stuff together and contact Exposure TV. Get your information in. Go through the steps. We are looking forward to that whole process in meeting you. Anything else that you want to say about the show, Karim?
Absolutely, man. We are on the #1 network in the world right now. We're on Exposure Plus TV, where we're broadcasting in so many places, both nationally and internationally. Did I say internationally? I said internationally. So show up, be present. Tune in every Sunday at 8 o'clock as we give you key drops to take you to the next level. And I can't wait till next month, man. It all goes down next month. I will see the people when I see them.
When you see, did you say international TV show?
International. I said international. That's right. International.
International TV show. This is big, y'all. This is really big. This is life-changing. Look forward to seeing you. Next time.
Calling all speakers. Keynote is a stage changing the landscape of public speaking. The unscripted reality show is now casting. Scan the QR code at the end of the video to apply.
The #1 television show for inspired and experienced speakers is changing the landscape of public speaking. The unscripted reality TV series will bring together speakers from around the world. We are looking for impactful speakers who are ready to transform the world one person at a time. Keynote Live unscripted show will be filming this spring in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The television series will be streaming on Exposure Plus TV, accessible to 440 million households in 128 countries. Available on all smart television and mobile devices.
It's time to show off your skills. Be sure to tune in to Sunday Keynote live promotional streaming series at 7:00 p.m. Central Standard Time and 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to learn more about Keynote, unscripted reality TV series, and the coaches.
Hey y'all, this is G. Thanks so much for tuning into our show today. That means the world to me and to the Keynote Live team. So please keep tuning in and keep sharing this show with others. Keynote Live means the world to me and to all of us. Some years ago, one of my mentors said this to me. He said, Gene, do you want to do something significant or do you want to be of significance in the lives of others? And that really hit home with me, because it really helped me to refocus my efforts on projects and activities that make a difference. And Keynote Live is a difference maker. To have an opportunity to reshape and rehumanize how we communicate with each other, how we collaborate, how we elevate each other, and even how we lead and influence those around us is an honor. Y'all, this ain't work, y'all. This is not work. This is my passion, and this is my purpose. So please keep tuning in, keep engaging with this platform, and keep sharing. We'll keep the content fresh, We'll bring on some great guests for you, and we'll give away some great gifts for you in the future.